The wind cut through her thin jacket like icy knives. Her small hands trembled, clutching a backpack too heavy for her young shoulders. No one noticed the girl walking alone on the deserted street. Every step felt heavier, every breath colder, every moment lonelier. And then, a car slowed down beside her, changing everything. It was late afternoon, and the sky had already turned a pale, haunting gray. Lily, a girl of 12, trudged along the empty sidewalk, her shoes scuffing against frozen patches of ice. The cold nipped at her cheeks, painting them bright red, and her breath came out in small, trembling clouds. She pulled her thin jacket tighter around her, wishing for warmth, for safety, for someone, anyone, to notice she was there. School had let out hours ago, but Lily hadn't gone home. Home wasn't a warm place. It was quiet in the wrong way, heavy with arguments she wished she could disappear from. Her father had left early that morning. Her mother was busy with work that never seemed to end, and the tiny apartment she shared with her little brother was a constant reminder of how alone she sometimes felt. She carried her backpack like a shield, stuffed with notebooks and half-eaten sandwiches she had saved from lunch, hoping they would last until she figured out her next step. Walking through the cold, she felt invisible, a shadow among the harsh city lights that flickered on one by one as night approached. People passed by, wrapped in their own worlds, hurrying home, barely glancing at her. Some were too busy, some too tired, and others, some didn't even care. Lily kept her eyes down, pretending she wasn't shivering, pretending she wasn't afraid, pretending she didn't wish, just for a moment, that someone would reach out to her. Her steps slowed as she neared a long stretch of road with no streetlights. The darkness pressed in, a heavy weight on her small shoulders. She hugged her arms to her chest, trying to hold on to warmth she didn't have. Tears welled up in her eyes, though she tried to blink them back. She couldn't remember the last time someone smiled at her, the last time someone told her everything would be okay. And yet, even as fear started creeping into her chest, a small, stubborn spark of hope remained. Maybe, just maybe, someone would see her tonight. Maybe someone would care. But as the cold wind howled and the city seemed to grow emptier with every step, hope felt like a distant memory, flickering and weak. The road stretched on, dark and unwelcoming. Every passing car seemed to zoom past without noticing her, the headlights flashing too briefly to even register her presence. A sudden gust of wind made her stumble, and she dropped her backpack with a thud. The notebook spilled onto the icy pavement, pages fluttering like fragile wings in the bitter air. A man walking by barely glanced at her, muttering a curse as he stepped over her scattered belongings. "Kids these days," he muttered under his breath. Lily's heart sank further. She wanted to cry out, to tell him she wasn't just some careless child, but she had learned long ago that the world often ignored pain if it wasn't convenient. She gathered her papers quickly, hands numb, and continued walking, her eyes stung from tears and cold alike. She passed a group of teenagers laughing loudly on the corner. One of them noticed her and smirked. "Lost little girl?" he called mockingly. Lily ignored him, her throat tight, wishing she could disappear. She felt smaller than she had ever felt, a tiny figure swallowed by the indifference of the world around her. The shadows grew longer, the streetlights flickered, and the loneliness wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She could feel her small body trembling uncontrollably now, not just from the cold but from the weight of hopelessness pressing down. She thought about the warmth of a home she didn't feel, about the family she wanted to protect but couldn't, about the simple wish to be seen, truly seen, by someone who cared. For the first time, she sat down on the curb, hugging her knees, letting herself shiver. No one stopped. No one asked if she was okay. Each car that passed seemed to whisper the same message. "You don't matter, you're invisible." Lily felt tears spill freely now, freezing streaks on her red cheeks. The city's noise felt distant, almost cruel. She felt utterly alone, small, and invisible, a single fragile soul against the endless, uncaring night. The cold seeped deeper into her bones, and despair settled like ice in her chest. She closed her eyes, wishing for something she had barely dared to hope for. A miracle, a sign, a kindness from a stranger. But the world felt too busy, too loud, too uncaring. And yet, deep in her heart, a fragile thread of hope refused to break. Suddenly, a car slowed down beside her. The tires crunched on the icy road, and she opened her eyes to see headlights illuminating her small, shivering figure. A man rolled down his window, and for the first time that evening, someone looked directly at her. His eyes were kind, warm, and patient, without a trace of judgment. "Hey," he said gently. "Are you okay? Do you need a ride somewhere?" Lily's mouth opened, words failing her. She had almost forgotten that such moments existed, moments where someone genuinely cared. She shook her head slightly, tears spilling down, but the stranger didn't press. He simply smiled and held out a warm blanket from his back seat. "Here," he said. "You look frozen. Take this." Her hands shook as she wrapped the blanket around herself. The warmth was almost magical, seeping into her bones, into her heart, into the part of her that had almost given up hope. For the first time that day, she felt seen. She felt safe. The man didn't rush her, didn't question why she was out alone in the cold. Instead, he offered her a ride to the nearest cafe, where she could sit, warm up, and even have a cup of hot chocolate. Along the ride, he listened as she explained, haltingly, why she had been walking alone. He didn't interrupt, didn't judge. He simply nodded, showing her that sometimes kindness doesn't need a reason. At the cafe, the stranger bought her a warm drink and even called her mother, letting Lily know that someone cared about her safety. She realized something profound. One small act of kindness, one simple gesture of care, could change everything. The hopelessness that had felt so heavy just an hour ago began to lift. By the time her mother arrived, Lily's eyes were bright, and her heart was lighter. She hugged the stranger tightly, whispering a shaky but heartfelt, "Thank you." In that moment, she understood something she would never forget. Even in the coldest, loneliest moments, kindness has the power to bring warmth, hope, and light. She walked away with a smile, feeling the world differently now. Still challenging, still vast, but not entirely uncaring. Somewhere in the darkness there were good people, and sometimes all it took was one to remind you that life could still be beautiful. Kindness is a light in the darkest moments. One small gesture can change a life forever. Never underestimate the power of seeing and caring for someone. Even when the world feels cold, hope can still be found. Be that person, be the warmth someone desperately needs today.